clubs remain perfect over in the Champions League league table, that's right, but who will be still perfect after the end of this weekend's action? We're going to take a look at it, all of it, match number 4, next. That's right, folks, back once again with another video today. We're looking forward to match number 4 in the Champions League with 5 clubs at the top of the table with a perfect record. What am I talking about? Well, I'll tell you in a second. If you're new, where you been? Smash your subscribe, your stop shop for Blackburn Rovers, Champions League, woo, football, we all here under one Rooski, that's right. Who is going to be top of the table outright at the end of this week's action? We'll look at it, all of it in a second. Big shout out to the members of the Patriots, you know who you are. And again, can we get a like target? Dare I say it? Shall we go for it? 60 likes, that's right, you can do it. You can bloody do it. So let's, of course, recap what went on last time around with, of course, a look at my picks. Here you go. We're not going to read them all out, just going for a few of them. Some big scorelines there. Barcelona putting 6 past Olympiakos. Inter putting 4 past Saint-Gilloise there. A couple of big scorelines, though. PSG 7-2 away win over Bayern Leverkusen. Meanwhile, Newcastle with a 3-0 win over Benfica. PSV with a 6-2 win over Napoli. Lots of goals. Liverpool managed to get a win, of course, against Frankfurt. 5-1 winners there. Also, Chelsea 5-1 winners. Bayern with a 4-0 win as well. I did all right. I don't want to gloat with some of my predictions, which were pretty fantastic, but we're going to move straight on into the next one. Let me just have a quick look at some of the ones I got bang on here. Like this one. I got this one bang on. I got this one close to the mark here. This one close. This one close. This one bang on. This one close. Bloody bang on. Anyway, this is the table. As you see, a couple of teams, no points as Ajax and Jose Mourinho's Benfica. Then, of course, the chasing pack there. Eintracht Frankfurt with 3 points. Napoli with 3 points. Spurs there with 5. It's not good enough, though. Neither is Chelsea, Liverpool, or Barcelona. Not good enough for the top 8. But the top 8 is Newcastle United, Manchester City, Dortmund, Real Madrid, Arsenal, Inter, Bayern, and PSG. But that can all change this coming week as we have some absolute bangers, including some of these guys locking horns with each other. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this. That is right, including PSG, Bayern. We've got Liverpool, Real Madrid. Oh, my days. It doesn't get any better than this. Or does it? So let's get in the deep end then and kick it all off with a trip to the Czech Republic. It's Slavia Prague against Arsenal then, shall we? It's coming at you on Tuesday the 4th of November at the Fortuna Arena. Prague under Jindřich Tiprovsky, they sit 28th with just 2 points. Unbeaten in the last 5, but they're the draw kings, picking up 4 draws in the last 5. Up against the Gooners, they've won 6 on the bounce, unbeaten in at least the last 11. They sit 4th with 9 points, and they played Slavia Prague 4 times. 2007. They won 2 of them. They've drawn 2 of them. Yet to face defeat. They last played at this venue. 4-0 winners it was back in April 2021 in the Europa League knockouts. Slavia Prague, though, bouncing back more recently with a win. 4-0 winners of Zlin, Czech Republic Cup most recently. As for Arsenal with a 2-0 win over Brighton in the League Cup to make it through to the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, bookies for this one, they'll back Arsenal massively. I'm going to give them a 3-1 win in the end. That boost their chances. Let's go to Napoli then. They need a response. Up against Frankfurt right now. Coming at you at the Diego Armando Maradona Stadio. Napoli under Antonio Conte. They sit 23rd. 3 points for them. 2 wins, 2 defeats in the last 4. Up against Frankfurt and Dino Topmolo. Just 1 win in the last 6. They are in free fall. They sit 22nd with 3 points thus far. They played twice, these 2 clubs, in 2003. 2 wins of the 2 for Napoli. Both of them were in the Champions League. Both of them were wins and clean sheets for Napoli. Napoli are on the back of a 1-0 win over Lecce. Most recently, Frankfurt crashing out of the DFB Pokal to Dortmund, of course. Bookies on this one, they'll back Napoli. Yep, going to go with a 2-0 win for the hosts and Conte's boys. Let's go to the game of the round, isn't it? PSG against Bayern. Both are perfect at the top of the table. Both for first place at PSG, second place at Bayern. Played 10 times in 2017. 3 wins for PSG, 7 wins for Bayern. There's been no draws. Luis Enrique's PSG have won at least 6 in the bounce. In fact, they haven't lost in the last 7 matches. Bayern have won 6 on the bounce, if not much more than that. And of course, I will fancy their chances. They did lock horns over in the Club World Cup this past summer. PSG won at 2-0 winners in the end. Last time they played, though, in Paris, it was a 1-0 win for Bayern back in February 2023. In fact, we're taking out that Club World Cup. Bayern won 4 on the bounce against PSG. PSG are also on the back of a sloppy 1-1 draw away to Lorient. Bayern with a 4-1 win over Köln to see them go through the DFB Pokal as well. This was a tight one. I think PSG are favoured for the win. I'm going with a 2-2. I'm not even going there, guys. 2-2 in the end. Of course, which will dent both the hopes, of course, which will probably not mean they'll be top of the table. Meanwhile, Liverpool up against Real Madrid. That's right, coming at you over at Anfield. Arnie Slot's boys are facing a pinch right now. 10th of the table, 6 points for them. 5 defeats in the last 6 up against Real Madrid. Xabi Alonso, they've won 5 on the bounce. They sit 5th. 9 points for them. They played each other 11 times since 2009. 3 wins Liverpool, 7 wins Real Madrid. There's been 1 draw. They last played at this venue. Of course, it was a 2-0 win for Liverpool back in November 2024 in the Champions League, or kind of this time last season. So maybe Liverpool could do back-to-back wins over them. Who knows? Liverpool on the back of that 3-0 loss to Palace. They take on Villa this weekend. Difficult game to manage. But, of course, it is at Anfield. Up against Real Madrid, picking up on that 2-1 win over Barcelona in El Clasico. But the bookies on this one, they'll back Real Madrid. I think I'm going to go with there as well. 2-0 winners for the Spanish outfit. Really denting the hopes of Slot and Liverpool. Meanwhile, Juventus taking on Sporting Lisbon, coming at you over at the Allianz Stadium. Have a new coach in charge of Juventus. Luciano Spalletti is in charge. They're 25th right now. 2 points for them, just 1 win in the last 6. Up against Sporting Lisbon, Rui Borges. They've won 4 in the round. They sit 11th with 6 points. Now, they have played 5 times, these two clubs. Since 2011, we have 2 wins Juventus, 1 with Sporting. There's been 2 draws, including a draw the last time they played. It was in Portugal. However, the last time they played in Italy, it was a result in a 1-0 win for Juventus back in April 2023. Juventus are on the back of that 3-1 over Udinese. Sporting Lisbon on the back of that 5-1 over Helvetia, both in midweek here. The bookies for this one, Juventus back to winning ways. New coach, new response. And, of course, I think a more suited man for the charge there for Juventus. Meanwhile, we'll go to Spain then as Atletico take on Union Saint-Gilloise over at the Ria de Air Metropolitano. Diego Simeone's boys are 19th right now. 3 points for them, just 1 defeat in the last 6. Against Union Saint-Gilloise and David Hubert, they are 24th, just 1 defeat in the last 4. Never played each other, these two clubs. Atletico Madrid on the back of that 2-0 win over Real Betis. Of course, Union Saint-Gilloise back to winning ways over, actually, in fact, back-to-back winning ways for them, back-to-back games, back-to-back clean sheets. And of course, with this one, they are actually underdogs, massively outfancied. Atletico Madrid should win this game. Gone with a 2-1 win, close one. Got them with a close game here for me. Let's go to Tottenham then, shall we? As they take on Copenhagen at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham under Tommy Frank. That's right, the Dane in the dugout there. 50 for the table, 5 points for them. Just 1 win in the last 4. Up against Copenhagen, also managed by a Dane. That's Jakob Nierstrup. They've just won once in the last 6. They sit 32nd with 1 point, of course. They have played each other. It was a friendly back in July 2004. It was a 2-2 thriller back in that summer there. Meanwhile, Spurs are on the back of that 2-0 loss to Newcastle. As for Copenhagen, on the back of that 4-1 over Hobro in those cup competitions this past midweek. Spurs are taking on Chelsea this weekend. Tight game, but of course, expected to lose that game, though, according to the bookies. But they're expected to win this game against Copenhagen. That's right. I've gone with a 2-0 win in the end for Tottenham. Meanwhile, we're going to put a Glimt. That's right. We're going to go to Norway as they take on Monaco. That's right. At the Aspermar Stadion. Kneji Knutsen's Norwegian outfit there sit 22nd right now. 2 points for them. Just 1 defeat in the last 6. Up against Monaco. Sebastian Pognoli there, 27th right now. 2 points for them. Back-to-back wins. Now coming into this, Monaco on the back of that 5-3 win over Nantes. Bodo Glimt on the back of that 2-1 win over Brann in their Norwegian top flight. This one, expect it to go to Bodo Glimt. That's what the bookies say. That's what I say. 2-0 winners in the end. That's, of course, on Wednesday. That's on Tuesday game. Into the Wednesday games we go now, I believe. No, one more to go. Olympiakos against a PSV coming at the Kasakades Stadium. Olympiakos under Jose Luis Mindelbar. They sit 33rd, which is the 1 point. 3 wins of the last 4. Up against PSV Eindhoven. Peter Boaz, they sit 16th right now. 4 points for them. And they've won. They're unbeaten in at least the last 7 matches. They've taken on Olympiakos 3 times in 2018. 1 win for Olympiakos, 2 wins for PSV. There's been no draws. They last played at this venue. It was a 4-2 win for Olympiakos back in February 2021. The Greeks are on the back of that 5-2 win over Volos in the Greek Cup there. PSV Eindhoven on the back of that 3-2 win over their bit of rivals there. Feyenoord 3-2 win. The bookies for this one is tight, very tight in favour. Leaning towards Olympiakos. I've gone with a 1-1 scoreline as I cannot separate the two sides. Let's hop on over to Qarabag then, shall we? That's into Wednesday's games as they take on Chelsea at the Aljun Arena. Qarabag under Guben Gubenov sitting in 13th right now. Just 1 win and 1 defeat in the last 6 for them. Up against Chelsea under Enzo Marquesca, 5 wins in the last 6. They sit 11th with 6 points. They've taken on Qarabag twice since 2017, winning both of them. And of course, scoring 10 goals against them in the last 2 without conceding a goal. Qarabag on the back of that 2-0 win over Ismaili. They are on the back of back-to-back clean sheets. Chelsea on the back of that tight game against Wolves this week. But of course, looking to bounce back in the league this weekend against Spurs. The bookies will back Chelsea. Long way to go. Going to go with a 3-1 win for Chelsea at Qarabag. Meanwhile, we go to Cyprus now as Pafos take on Villarreal. That's coming at you over at the Stelios Kennekedekidis. Pafos under Juan Carlos Casedo sit 29th right now. 2 points for them. 2 defeats in the last 5 matches. Just a 42% form for them at the moment. Villarreal, Marcelino is in charge. They're 31st in the table. Back-to-back wins, though, in all competitions. Yet to take on Pafos in any competitions. Larnaca on the back of that 5-4 win over Pafos in a penalty shootout in the Cypriot Cup final. Their Super Cup, maybe. Up against Villarreal, who picked up a 6-0 win over Lucena in the Cup. They were a first round this past midweek. The bookies for this one, they'll back Villarreal. They think they will win it, 2-0 winners as well, to put themselves in a good spot. Finally, getting some movement in their legs. Inter up against Kairat, that's right, over the Giuseppe Meazza. Inter under Christian Chuvu sit third right now. They've just lost once in the last 4 up against Kairat under Rafael Uzbatanin. Just 1 defeat in the last 6. They sit 34th with that 1 point, and have never played Inter in their history, according to my data. Kairat are on the back of successive draws here, drawing with Pafos last time around at this venue. Of course, the 1-1 scoreline against Astana in their domestic top flight. Inter on the back of a 3-0 important win over Fiorentina, and expected to win this game quite convincingly. Don't even go there for Kairat. 2-0 winners. Inter could be much, much more than that as well if they got their shooting boots on. Meanwhile, Man City against Dortmund again in the what's his name, Erling Haaland derby at the Etihad Stadium. Man City under Pep sits 7th right now, 7 points for them, just 1 defeat in the last 6 up against Dortmund under Niko Kovac. They sit 6th with 7 points as well, also 1 defeat in the last 6. They played 9 times in 2010, 4 wins City, 3 wins Dortmund. There's been 2 draws. They last played at this venue. It was a 2-1 win for City back in September 2022. City are unbeaten against Dortmund over the last 4, and they're coming into something like a 3-1 squeaky bum win over Swansea. Dortmund, of course, navigated past Frankfurt in the DFB Pokal to go to the third round there. Bookies for this one, they'll back City. Got to back them as well. 3-1 winners over Dortmund at their own backyard. Let's go to Club Brugge then as they take on Barcelona over in Belgium. Of course, Club Brugge managed by Nicky Hayden. They're 20th at the table, 3 points for them. They currently find themselves in 20th place. Barcelona, Hansi Flick, they are 9th, 6 points for them. 3 wins, 3 defeats in the last 6. Sticky patch for Hansi Flick at the moment. Taking on over the Jan Beerdal Stadium, where they have played once, these two clubs. It was at Belgium. It was a 1-0 win for Barcelona way back in October 2002. Club Brugge on the back of that 6-1 win over Anderlecht Aalst later in the Belgium Cup there. Barcelona losing to Real Madrid in the Clasico last time around. Barcelona, of course, against Elche this weekend. They're expected to win that game, and they're expected to win this game as well, convincingly. Going to go with a 4-1 away day win as Hansi Flick ramps it up a little bit. Meanwhile, we go to Benfica as they take on Leverkusen, coming at you over at Estadio de Sport Lisbon. Benfica under Jose Mourinho, they sit rock bottom, 35th right now, pretty much bottom, just 1 defeat in the last 5 though. Up against Leverkusen under Kasper Husmund, 30th at the table, 2 points for them, just 1 defeat in the last 6. They played 4 times since 2013, 2 wins for Benfica, 1 win for Leverkusen. There's been 1 draw. They last played, of course, at Benfica. It was a draw back in December 2014. Of course, that was in the Champions League. Benfica on the back of that 3-0 win over Tondela. Back-to-back wins, back-to-back clean sheets for Benfica. Up against the Leverkusen side, who did navigate past Paderborn in the DFB Pokal, also via overtime. They've got Bayern this weekend, sticky game that. They're expected to lose that game, and they're expected to lose this game, but it will be a tight one. 2-2. I'm going with a 2-2 in my eyes. Wow, wow, wee, wow. Curveball extraordinaire. Last couple here, Marseille, Atalanta coming at you over the south of France, the Orange Velodrome. We go to the south of France as Marseille and Roberto Di Zebria for 18th for the table, 3 points for them. Winless though in the last 3. Take it on Atalanta under Ivan Juric. They are 17th right now, 4 points for them. They've drawn 5 on the bounce in all competition. Now these two clubs have played twice since 2024. Nothing for Marseille, 1 win for Atalanta, and there's been 1 draw. They last played over at Marseille. It was a 1-1 scoreline back in May 2024. That was in the Europa League knockout stages. Of course, Atalanta navigating through to the final in that one. Marseille on the back of a 2-2 scoreline against Angers most recently. Atalanta on the back of 5 successive draws, but unbeaten in at least the last 6. The bookies for this one, they'll back Marseille here. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win as well for the French team. Let's go to Ajax taking on Galatasaray over at the Johan Cruyff Arena. Ajax under Jonatanga. They're 36. They're rock bottom right now. No points for them. Just 1 win in the last 5. Against Galatasaray under Ukan Buric, they sit 14th with 6 points. They're unbeaten in at least the last 7. And they've played Ajax 3 times since 2011. Winning 1 of them, losing 1 of them, and there's been 1 draw. They last played at this venue. It was a 2-1 win for Ajax back in January 2025. It was in the Europa League. Ajax are on the back of that 3-2 win over Twente, SC Twente in the Dutch leagues there. Galatasaray, though, picking up a 3-1 win in the Superliga over Gutis Intmir. That's right, scoring, 8 goals in the last 3 games combined. Bookies for this one, though, they'll back Galatasaray. Of course they will. I'm going to go with a 0-0 draw in the end. And finally, we go to Newcastle as they take on Bilbao over at St. James's Park. Eddie Howe's boys are 8th right now. 6 points for them. Just 1 defeat in the last 6. They've won 5 of that last 6. Bilbao and Ernesto Valverde, they sit 21st with 3 points. Just 1 defeat in the last 4 matches. They played the once since 2022 as a friendly. It resulted in a win for Newcastle. The Geordies are on the back of that 2-0 win over Spurs, of course. They got West Ham this weekend. As for Bilbao. They lost to Getafe. I think Valverde is under a little bit of pressure there. Big game this weekend as well against Sociedad. The bookies, though, will back Newcastle. I think I've got to back them as well. 2-1 winners in the end. And if I'm right, this is what the table will look like, guys, as you see it. Ajax getting a point on the board. Of course, still other struggles down there by Leverkusen not moving as well, really. Into the map there, the middle of the park there with the likes of Juventus, Napoli, Madrid, Liverpool, Dortmund. Of course, into the power 8 there we have Newcastle, Barcelona, Man City, Bayern, of course, PSG, Real Madrid, Arsenal and Inter. Those are your 3 outright leaders in the Champions League. Of course, according to my data, heading out of this one and into the next one. But until then, make sure you subscribe, smash the like wherever you are in the world. We look forward to seeing you when we come back for match number 5. But until then, we're done. Subscribe.